Okay, so we're going to do retrograde planets today. Here we go. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Very apt actually, because I'm recording this on 7th of July 2021. I'm at the moment in the skies. We have two planets, retrograde, Saturn, and also Jupiter. So here we go. So let's have a look. Retrograde planets. Retrograde planets, according to Vedic astrology, they're extremely powerful, very strong. They just call them what is called crooked. So what does that mean? So this is when a planet is strong by Shadbala, which we'll come to that, but it's passive. So you need to, in order to get things, fruits of that planet, you need to really tap into it and work on that planet. The planets that can be retrograde, we're going to just leave out completely. Planets such as we don't work on Pluto and all of those sort of planets, but we're just going to do so it will be Mercury, Mars, Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter that are retrograde. And so this will make these planets much closer to the Earth at the time of retrogradation. And the planet that is least likely to go retrograde is actually Venus. Very rare to get that in people's charts. But obviously it does happen. And retrogradation is very much to do with contemplation and reviewing. This is where the native tends to be constantly reanalyzing, reviewing, redoing all their actions and things to do with that planet. And they are a little bit unconventional as well. They can be a little bit quirkier. They like things on their own terms. And when I look through my database, nearly so many of very famous people have retrograde planets, because they are obviously, that's what they want to do. They want to constantly redo things to get it right. So that makes them perfectionists, fussy. They reevaluate all the time what they're doing wrong, how they're doing wrong. Can be pretty good if, like, for example, if your seventh lord is retrograde, you might be with somebody, or if your partner's house, so they actually have revisited the issues of their first marriage in order not to take them into the second marriage. So they've really thought about it, reviewed it, and analysed it. Obviously, all of these really are valid, but only really valid if the person's retrograde planet is in good dignity. That will be really the telling point of everything, if you like. So yeah, it's always worth knowing that not necessarily everybody is going to be that way inclined, if you like. So right, so I'm just going to talk about this a little further. So they learn from mistakes, and results for them will be slower generally. Their attention to detail will actually lead them to success, really good. They kind of, if the planet is in good dignity, they really create a very, very solid foundation for that planet. So intensity will always be there with these planets. So let's have a little look now. So let's have a look what it means when somebody's got a Venus retrograde. There's a karmic thing to do with relationships that they have to deal with. So Venus is very comfortable, obviously, in Taurus and Libra first, because it owns them, and then Pisces because it's exalted in them. It's friendly with Mercury, so it likes being Gemini, and not Virgo, obviously, because Virgo is the debilitation sign for it, but it's quite comfortable in Saturn signs as well, Capricorn and Aquarius. When somebody has a retrograde planet in retrograde Venus in their chart, it can give turbulence in their relationships. And, you know, but obviously, if they are in those houses, those signs, the friendly signs, they learn through that and they try to get it right. Venus retrograde is probably the most difficult out of the rest of the planets because there is it's a really, I mean, obviously they are karmic anyway, retrograde planets, but uh, it's always better if you marry later and work on fixing the issues that created those problems. It will be very difficult for somebody who has, say, Sun, Venus and Sun sign, or Venus sitting with Sun when Sun is very strong, because they actually think that they are correct and everybody else is the woman or the love, person. They are the person who is wrong. And so, yeah, it can be quite difficult, give really difficult marital issues for the person. But obviously, if the person is, and obviously, what it also means that you are constantly revisiting, reviewing, rethinking that relationship that went wrong as well. But somebody with a good Venus will be able to think, right, what did I do wrong, and try to correct it. Venus in difficult signs will have trouble in time actually seeing what they did wrong, because uh, particularly when ego signs like Leo are in place, and dignity of, an enemy sign, or like even Sagittarius, that will be quite difficult, really. Um, so this is Venus. If Mercury is the retrograde planet, obviously, it means that everything they say, anything to do with friends, anything to do with social media, anything to do with any form of communication, is constantly reviewed. Should I have done that? Should I have said that? What did he say? What did he mean by that? What was the old? They constantly can be bombarded in their mind with all these little issues. But what a fantastic position if Mercury is in really good dignity in your chart. But Mercury does really well in Gemini, and Virgo rules those two. It does really well in Taurus and Libra, friendly with it's friendly with Venus. It does well in Leo, and it does also not too badly in Capricorn and Aquarius. So yeah, this person will be like very focused on getting things absolutely correct, so very much like perfecting. If they're writers, then they will be very good at critiquing their own work, very good at editing their work. What they do, they analyze text really well. And also, it will be a really good accountant as well, because Mercury rules numbers. So they will be very good at remembering what your tax returns were the year before, and really making sure that everything has been analyzed and super analyzed as well. Very good if you're an architect as well, because if you have somebody like that, it will be very precise, or and yeah, so that could be pretty amazing to just perfect, anything to do with design, for example, Steve Jobs, that kind of thing, that just like perfecting and making it like an art form, really, because they're so amazing. And it just makes me think whether or not I should actually have taken some others. But anyway, I was thinking about Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, actually, to see whether or not what their charts were like. I got a feeling that Leonardo da Vinci might have had Saturn retrograde, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, let's just carry on with this. So there's always one foot in the past, and they wanting to finish this karma's to do with that planet. So they are skeptical as well, a little bit. So Mercury retrograde is always analyzing their friends as well. You know, imagine if they're songwriters, they will be amazing songwriters. Sometimes the retrograde planets can, obviously, if the dignity is good, it can be really good, but it can be exhausting to the person as well. All this analyzing, reanalyzing, redoing, reviewing, revisiting it is quite difficult. Retrograde Mars will be more introverted Mars. The energy will be definitely more, unless if it's an enemy sign, you know, they could get angry quite quickly. But yeah, that could be quite nice when they are actually in good dignity and in a friendly sign. Very logical minded, very want to get things precise and yeah, put the energy into right areas of life. Retrograde Saturn will be somebody who you know wants to be successful, and the success will come to them. You know, they have to learn patience, and so they'll have late success. There'll be delays there, but they will build themselves a really fantastic, solid foundation to build on that. Because they want to be reliable, they want to be successful, they want to be secure, and they are very disciplined. I mean, Gordon Ramsay, you know, that guy's chart there. So before they go on, he goes onto a show or something. He wants to get everything. He's done everything so many times, reviewed things so many times that it will be absolute perfection. And he's known for that. He's known for being really finicky. Detail has got to be 100% to do with anything like that. Because look, it's got Mercury retrograde, Saturn retrograde. So everything has got to be absolutely 100%. So yeah, they're highly reliable, hard workers, very, very solid foundation. But they are more fearful as well. They're, you know, that Saturn retrograde will give them more anxiety. And his Saturn is in really good condition. Then we got Jupiter. Jupiter retrograde can be somebody who's constantly like, they could be into education and you could be constantly educating themselves. If if Jupiter is in good dignity, they will be fantastic. You know, they will be great lecturers, advisors, psychotherapists, preachers. But if it's in poor condition, they're constantly like abusing that as well. You know, but they are also they are always reviewing to their belief system. They're questioning it. They questioning their ethics and etiquettes and morals and religion, and they, you know, they would want to constantly like they're kind of a little bit more attached to their belief system. So whatever that may be, you know, they search for happiness and wisdom and reviewing everything, questioning things. And it will be really good as time goes by if the dignity is good, and it obviously can be, you know, preaching all the wrong sort of fanatical things as well. So yeah, it could have that too. So the planet is normally developing you in a sense, and it can give crueler. It can be a bit more cruel as well because it's obviously that much slower than the other planets as well. So there is a saying also that I've heard that a debilitated retrograde planet acts like an exalted planet, and I can say that knowing friends that who have that, it's probably true. I can imagine that it still has got a debilitation issue, so the karaka of that planet will actually be damaged. So there might be problems with younger siblings, but generally speaking, can be quite strong as well. Whereas a planet, again talking about experience, a friend of mine who has an exalted Jupiter in the second house and has had issues with family and children, Jupiter being the karaka for children. So although it's given lots of material gain, it's given wonderful children, but has had issues with those children as well. So these are the things to bear in mind. So I'm going to I'm going to start on the videos. So basically, we're going to look at a few videos. So let's have a look and see what's going on. This is Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay has got Mercury retrograde in his second house, and he has been known to be quite kind of outspoken, and Mercury in is not in good dignity. Is obviously he swears all the time. He has got terrible way with words. So yeah, his Mercury is retrograde, and he I dare say he's probably upset a lot of people, upset a lot of family members. I think he's had issues with his father-in-law as well, and yeah. So you can see that. But Saturn in fifth house retrograde in Shatabisha in Multichrome sign. He has had massive success in his career. Fifth house of all those arts and media and television, and but he has also, it's a Multichrome sign, so it's a really good position for him. He's and he's very well known for attention to detail, wanting everything to be absolutely precise, delivering a menu that is very simplistic, but to the highest possible standard. Then we have Mark Zuckerberg, I think that's how you say it. And he has, in his third house, he's got Mars retrograde and Saturn retrograde. So he's got his Yogacaraka planet is retrograde, which is supposed to be a little bit difficult actually. But with the, Saturn is retrograde, in his third house in exaltation sign, very close to the exaltation. But look at that moon really hemmed between the two planets. He's also got Jupiter retrograde in his fifth as well. So here we have somebody who is battling with his morals, his code of conduct because of Jupiter. He's also, Mars rules his ninth house of beliefs as well, and fifth house of fun and children and things like that. So I don't believe he's got any children, I'm not sure. And Saturn, look at that, Saturn being retrograde with other people. So he is a person who's always, because he wants perfection and he wants to win the game of everything. So he will be somebody who's very reflective on everything that he does as well. So, and we can see all of these things manifesting in people's charts where they actually constantly reviewing, and that must be quite difficult for Mark Zuckerberg because Saturn and Mars are not really in friendly towards each other in his third house. So he's got this constant push and pull thing going on with that. He's obviously quite a hard worker, and his mental health, he's creating a lot of enemies because of that as well, but he's obviously a perfectionist nonetheless in that, and he's in the field that he is in. He's achieved quite a lot. Whether or not that gives him any happiness, who knows, because obviously Jupiter being retrograde, planet of optimism, and all those results will always come a bit later as well with the retrograde planets. So, but my goodness, when I was looking, there's so many people who have this. Barack Obama has got Jupiter retrograde and Saturn retrograde on his ascendant, so he must have been really careful. He kind of wouldn't necessarily push with things, just had to be very careful, knew that he had friends, very powerful friends as enemies as well. And then we have Dolly Parton, Tony Blair, as said, Richard Branson. Honestly, I just could not believe how many very famous people have these things in their chart. And Richard Branson has his, let's have a look at this now. It's got Jupiter retrograde now, actually in the skies now. He's got his Jupiter return. Jupiter retrograde pretty much at that degree right now in his 8th house. So it's pretty amazing, really. So I would imagine he probably is fighting some demons now because he rules his 6th houses in the 8th house as well. So there's things going on there. I hope his health and well-being is there, because Jupiter is your jiva, it's life, force as well. So yeah, so you just want to always be sure to, because these people just work hard, review, reanalyze, contemplate, think and rethink, go back, get things absolutely perfect. And maybe in the things I'll be able to, in the comments I'll be able to actually, you can actually tell me about your experiences with this. I know my daughter has got retrograde Saturn, which rules her 10th and 11th house, and she's had setbacks with work and has had real difficulties in her big groups of friends. She's had issues, karmic issues with them. So in her work, she has had to really apply herself, work harder, apply to many, many jobs. She's had a lot of kind of slaps in the face, if you like, rejections. And she's learned from that, learned not to take things personally and just keep applying herself. But also, with groups of friends, that she's realized that she needs to just spread herself a little bit more and not push so much onto one or two friends, and try to do different things with different people rather than becoming needy of one or two people in her life. So that's my take on this, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching this, and I know that they were saying like anything with retrograde Mercury can cause issues with technology as well, and we have had that recently, and so it's always good when planets start going slightly forward. But right now Saturn is retrograde, and I in Capricorn, because it's such a strong sign for Capricorn, is quite a difficult sign for everyone. So I've actually found since it's gone retrograde, the energy of Saturn is much more bearable than it is when it's direct. So yes, let me know in comments below what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next lesson. Thank you.